welcome. Alchemy Hub, podcast 9. Interesting dynamic this time because you're in my seat. That's the first thing, which was interesting when we came in. So Louis Harrington, give us a bit about you.
Well, it's interesting. We've just come here in the middle of, where are we? Doncaster.
Yep.
Here. We meet some incredible. I can see obviously why you chose to come here. Some good guys, and we get straight onto the subject of golf, which I would have answered that for many years that was me, but it wasn't just golf. I think I talk about that now because it's obviously fresh as we speak about that, and there's part of me that probably would avoid that part of my life, but I guess it's probably best just to say it's nothing to do with golf. I'm really intense, which has been a really difficult thing to manage. I didn't manage it for many years, and I think what goes along with that is that I'm really sensitive, and ultimately they're both the same thing, really. And I think my life has been an attempt at trying to manage that, really, but an avoidance of that. So who's Louis? Louis is a seriously intense and sensitive individual who would have denied them parts of himself for most of his life. They would have played out early years as a whatever it was, really, but it was football early on in my life that really was life, and then that moved into golf, and so at 13, 14 I played golf. I was going to say for a living at that point. It was a game, and then I realised probably 16, 17 that it could be life. I could earn money doing it, and then I turned professional at 18. But really, I could sort of fast forward on all of them things. When that stopped, it was always the same thing. So when the guy asks earlier as we come in here, what do you do now? And I'm sure we'll get onto that at some point. Really, the main aim is that I aim to be intense and sensitive because that is who I am.
And delivering that how? And with who?
Now? Delivering that to... In the first place would have been anyone really that could connect to that message. I actually let go of completely that being a thing. Who can I deliver this message to? How does this? There was no conscious thought of that. I was so done with everything that had happened in my life, which was a denial of who I was, that everything had been stripped back. So as I started to share, who that was presented to almost came to me. So people would connect with that. Most of them are intense and sensitive individuals, athletes, some past or retired footballers, retired golfers still playing. It started mostly with athletes, and then as I started to strengthen in them relationships, it then became something again to think, well, okay, you're here again. You didn't think you could make a career or earn any money doing golf, but that obviously became a thing. And now this has become a thing that you can actually, there's some serious impact to be had through you being yourself. So that's what it's been. People connect with that. Most of them have been athletes. And then that's linked into, obviously, a lot of retired athletes. I know you would have shared a lot on your early career in football. Well, obviously they've got to go and make a living as well, and then it rolls across into business leaders, entrepreneurs. There's no real set. But the most identification I'm going to create, who's going to connect to my message, is probably people where we've shared similar experiences.
Yeah.
Now, if there's an intensity and sensitivity there in an individual, then we can connect for sure. Which I start to see that, that is most where it's where I think we connected.
Yeah, of course.
On a deeper level.
So for the listeners then, so you're I think you've answered the question in a different way that I anticipated you'd answer, but I think you probably played on that anyway. So, but you're delivering one-to-one coaching, executive coaching, whatever you want to call it. You're supporting people, athletes, business leaders on their journey, whatever that may look like, including me. Obviously, we've worked together, which is why we're in the room today. So,
absolutely.
Talk to us about young Louis. Talk to us about your childhood and growing up and talk to us about that.
It's interesting because I could probably say, if I use that as a third person, young Louis is the same as this Louis now.
Okay.
And the journey has been a journey back to that. I know that side of myself was very that side of me, young, was very misunderstood, which is very interesting. When we met with someone earlier who was talking about their own child just getting to 2 years old, and him seeing this absolute wild intensity that he feels things really deeply to the point where he'll have a tantrum, and then in the next minute he'll be the most loving individual there is. I tend to say, probably people listening can probably connect, that I think that's in all of us to a certain degree. I was that. The environment that I lived in probably didn't allow that to be, understandably, because the people struggled with that in themselves pretty early on. So yeah, I'd say that's a lot of the work, is to take someone back to that.
And what was your childhood like? What mum, dad, growing up? What did that look like?
I think from the outside looking in, it's I'd have said it's pretty normal. My dad worked hard, was the leader of the family. My mum again worked from her own stand as well. She definitely found things difficult when I was young, early in the relationship. So my mum and dad would have had a challenging relationship, but probably tried to keep it from us,
right,
as children, which has come to light later on. But I get it. I think a lot of people do that. A lot of families do that. We're going to stay together for the sake of the children, which in hindsight, we've had conversations, who knows, don't need to change anything, but maybe things may have been a little bit more accepting for my sister and I, as two of us, to accept who we were, constantly feeling like we had to fit in, I guess, to a certain degree, because our intent, how we were feeling, wasn't normal. So there was challenges, definitely, but really, I went through a period where I think a lot of people do, when you have challenges in your own life, that you might seek help or advice, guidance. And obviously you go back into your childhood, and I went through a lot of period of resentment, trying to blame people, and it's this, it's that, it's their fault, it's this. But it's never the case for me. Decent school, decent score, was pretty good. Went to a grammar school, boys' grammar school.
Did you do well at school in terms of like GCSEs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I passed them all. Didn't really I wasn't particularly dedicated to any of that, but if I liked something, I was all in. And I sort of understood, I guess, what school was. The fact that if you did, quite early on, I probably understood that I could get a pass grade by just reading through the papers the night before.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got enough of that. I can go into the exam and get a B. And I did. I got all my GCSEs, no problem.
Yeah.
Started to think, okay, well, what do I do now? Thing is, sport was always the real thing I wanted to do. I probably came from a family that didn't see that necessarily as a way to make a living.
Oh, okay.
that's probably come to light more recently. So it wasn't. We had this conversation more recently that I think behind my back it was. Behind my back it was like Lewis's professional golf, he's doing really well, and or whatever else it might be. But my feeling was always, it's not a proper job, you can't do that. So it was always a bit of a fight to do that. Again, no one's fault, but that's that it feels like the way it was.
Were you likeable at school? Did people like you? Were you popular? Did you have a group of friends? Were you an outlier as I think you are today?
Outlier?
Sorry, not outlier. I mean, like you're.
No, I've just gone to the word lie. What do you mean?
No,
I'm lying out loud. What is this?
Well, maybe.
What is that outlier?
As in how I perceive that is you're to yourself. You're a bit of a lone wolf, aren't you? You like your own company. You.
No, the direct opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the direct opposite.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, the direct opposite. Was I liked at school? I'd say yes, but I probably never felt it. Yeah, yeah. I'd say I was probably the ringleader of fitting in. But I guess the more I've understood now in myself, there is elements of that were part of who I am, for sure. The ability to have a conversation pretty much with anyone.
Yeah. Chameleon.
Yeah, the chameleon's the thing that got me in trouble.
Okay.
That was my dad. I see a chameleon as changing their skin, obviously, to fit into the environment. And now I'm not that, hence why I would be perceived alone. It was funny. I think I said to you earlier, I met with my dad this week, and I'd certainly have had several years what would be perceived alone. That's the truth. I think anyone that goes on a journey to look to be authentic, to look to be who they are, I don't think many people talk about that if you've spent a long period of time being inauthentic, which for me, the chameleon as me was inauthentic, looking to fit in everywhere, it's a pretty painful unravelling. And a lot of people fall away and don't really want to know because they want you to go back to the person that they knew. So when I stopped drinking 6 years ago, all of a sudden that was a big changing point, where all of a sudden I was left with the truth a lot of the time, what was really going on, and I made a decision to face it. Yeah. So the minute I face it, certain people didn't like that, so it was hard. Relationships with most people begin to fall away, and I said with my dad this week, I said there's something you said to me that really had an effect, and it pretty much it came up then when you just said like you lone ranger, lone wolf, whatever. There's something in me to go, no, I'm not. That comes straight up again. He said the words of you've become a recluse. So a lot of the work is that. So all of a sudden, I explained this to him because he didn't understand. It wasn't like he's going, you are that. But what happens is when he says that, for 12 months I come away or whatever thinking, shit, I'm a recluse. I don't want to be that.
Why though?
But whereas really, I wouldn't even know what it is.
What is that a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Is it?
But I don't think anyone sees it as that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone sees it as that. And if people are constantly telling you who you are, you are this, you are that, you are that, then all of a sudden there's a pushback in there going, I don't really. The pushback should have been thanks, but I don't really. What does that mean? Which is often what I say now, which confuses people. People don't want to have that conversation because I'm trying to challenge them to say, look, I don't understand what you're saying. Please explain it to me in a way that I can understand. If not, then your words are irrelevant. There's no relevance to me whatsoever, which would have been a much healthier path for me to walk. But instead, I'm the chameleon going, oh, okay, that's really interesting. Tell me, how am I a recluse?
So how would you describe how you are now then in terms of around those words?
I think if I had to translate it into words, I aim now to be as real and as honest as is possible in that moment, which for me is how conscious am I. And of course I was deep you said how was young Louis? He was deep, very, very deep. He would often take himself off for periods of time. We're coming up to Christmas now. He would be one of them that would do that, take himself off. So it's a little bit much here. It's emotion. I'm feeling deeply. I don't think it's welcome here. I'd rather go and do that on my own. Which was actually many situations. But then you bring that forward to now. I tried to be that. Rather than actually just going, oh no, I probably shouldn't do that or shouldn't say that. I try and just be as I am. And I think the word to describe that would be authentic. But it's interesting because, again, there's a lot of words there. Authentic, vulnerable, they're the same thing. And the only way I've been able to do that is to confront every single fear that I had, which, is still there. As I'm talking now, I've just spoken about my mum and dad. There's a fear in going, shit, should I really be saying that? But it's the truth to my experiences. So I'm now accepting that if someone else wants to take offence to that to a degree, then I have to deal with the consequences of that. And I've always felt that. I push back against teachers. I push back against, we were talking about the PGA earlier, I'd push back against people training in PGA stuff. I'd push back against most things. I mean, you're regularly told, you can't be told anything. And if someone said that to me now, I'd probably agree. I say, no, I can't. Which is a very interesting way of being now. It feels right now, it feels real, but before, it's what I wanted to do, but I was terrified to do it.
So trying to be as conscious as you can in every moment and as authentic as is feasibly possible. How tiring is that to constantly bring yourself to that?
I think in the not so much now. Right. It's liberating now, but for a long period of time, it's one of the most exhausting, painful journeys I think you could ever go on. We've had the conversation many times. With the work we do now, we often joke about the putting a contract across the table with someone and just saying this could take you to a few places that I'm not sure you're prepared to go to, but I'm going to tell you what they are, because a lot of people, they say they want to get somewhere. I would have done, but essentially what that takes, if we're going to talk about emotional suffering and the pain that it will bring up, well, that's going to be exhausting. So I went through that. Yeah, definitely exhausting, headaches. And I started to accept that I had to do it. I had to go through that process. Could have done it several other ways, but I had to accept that I needed to go through that process for me, and that there was a lot of stuff that I was going back into. It was painful, and if, as we know with anything, I think Gabor Maté talks about growing pains, which we all know people talking about growing pains. So growing is painful. Yeah. So for me to start to understand that if I was going to do anything in this life, you need to grow, and it's going to be painful. Yeah. So it was painful and it was exhausting. It's liberating more now, because I think the more you go on it, you get better at. We had the conversation with driving up. You get better at setting boundaries. So, if I don't like this environment, I'm comfortable to leave it. If I don't like the conversation, I'll sit in it. Is it my fear? Or do I need to confront this? Or is it just, no, I overstepped the boundaries, I'm going this way, thanks. Would never have been brave enough to do that before.
Okay. So, left school, 16?
I actually stayed on to do A-levels. One of the teachers sat me down. They didn't want me to go. So when you say you're likeable, I think I was... liked by the teachers. They wanted me there. And we sat down. I think I was unsure as to what to do, and he sat down. He was a good guy, and he said we want to keep you here, do whatever it is, and you'll be treated more like an adult. The usual story. You'll be treated more like an adult here, and you're an asset to the school, sports, and all of this stuff. So in that moment, of course, I'm just trying to think now, if I went back and was an authentic response at that point would have been no, I'm doing this. And there's this external, probably need to stay on A levels and do the next thing. Probably was. If you could have got me there and said, well, what, you know, you could do this, you go and play golf full time. So yeah, I stayed on, but I lasted about 6 months. There's no treat. I wasn't treated like an adult. No one really understood me. The only change for me at that point in school is you got to move out of your normal school uniform into your own blazer or whatever you could choose, your own suit. That fad worn off pretty quickly. And then I went to a golf college to finish which was another shit show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then talk to us about your golf then. What was the journey?
Well, that's when it started to come in, because I'm just thinking then, if you'd have said to me, I'd started playing golf more seriously at that point, 16. But when I say more seriously, I was competing.
Right.
That's all it was. And playing tournaments at the golf club, just as an amateur, not really knowing what I was doing. Just play. Handicap comes down, you're winning, you're in the teams. You're playing with the adults, you're beating them. Then you branch out and play into the next stage, which would be maybe in the county. You'd enter a tournament and you could compete with them. Then you go a little bit further afield, and so that was happening at that point, 16, 17, and that was what probably swayed me to look into that golf college.
Were you enjoying it still then, or did you already?
Yeah, absolutely enjoying it. Yes,
right.
Yeah, enjoying it. I was good at it. I enjoyed it because I was good at it.
Right.
The joy was found because I was good at it.
Yes.
Because why? Because you're a competitor, and you want to win, and it gave me an opportunity to be that.
Yes. And that could have been anything, though, right? That could have been. Could that have been football? Because you were a good footballer, weren't you? From what I understand, golf was just a vehicle for you to be yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as I reflect now, because it transfers into this now. It transfers into anything. It was the vehicle to be that. Yeah, 100%.
And what happened there then? So started winning tournaments, coming up through the ranks. How good were you? Were you outstanding? Were you what did that look like?
I think others would probably answer that ironically better, which showed where I was in that period of time. I knew deep down that whatever I turned my hand to, if there was that I could be exceptional at it. And that the confusing part was, so when at 18, when I turned professional, played in my first professional event and was absolutely shit. Horrific. Remember, it was horrific. Again, reflect back, I was terrified. If you'd have met me on the first hole driving into the car park, I'd have said I'm all good. I had a great face, I'm no problem here. I'm terrified, shit, awful. And then the second tournament I played, I won. Blew the field away.
Really?
And at that point I remember at my local club, we had the local newspaper came round, they're doing a photo thing. My dad was probably ringing him up and he'd come and do this with my son. But yeah, back page of the local paper, which I've still got the old photos there. It was interesting because I at that point I'd taken like a club sponsorship deal with what would be perceived as like a real lesser brand, like
Gobler.
Yeah. And no one really have even Olio. It's not even. It's nearly similar to that.
Right,
the name
really?
of Gola, ironically, and people would take the piss. Like, oh boy. And that day I went and won using pretty much that equipment, so it was a bit of a thing for them. And I was like, what is this? What's going on? And then again, I'd be shit for a period, and then another 12 months would pass.
Why were you shit then? Why were you shit and why were you good? Try and explain to the what was.
Well,
that?
I go back to the first example. The reason I was shit is because I would tell you, whoever you were, and from the outside world, you would think I've got everything together. That I'm in a really good place. What a great person to be around. He's a good guy, Louis. It's all that. Nice guy. He's a nice guy. Really good. But underneath that was a scared boy, trying to find what happened on the second event, which was me searching internally, searching internally for who I was, for the intensity, for the sensitivity. So if I go back and I have the conversation with myself in that first event, I say, "Are you scared?" Yes. Terrified?
Yeah.
Of course. It's totally normal. It's totally normal to feel afraid, worried that you're going to be judged by a lot of people. You've done okay as an amateur. Your family is sort of involved in this now. You want to do well. Of course, totally normal to feel terrified. What are you going to do about that? Well, I've got no solutions, no nothing.
I mean, I found this. Sorry to
No.
Just from my own perspective, to kind of verbalise the fear.
Oh.
It's liberating, isn't it? It's like so liberating. I mean, I had it with. I'm not great with heights, and I went on holiday, and we go up on the slides, and they're all open, and I'm terrified, and my little one's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Dad?" And I'm like, and a couple of years ago I'd have been, I'm fine. Clearly not. But since the tools and the work that we've done, just being like, I'm terrified. I don't like this at all. It just softens it. It's bizarre, but that just verbalization of I'm terrified.
I'm really, really scared.
Really scared. It's still there, but it loosens it up, doesn't it?
For sure. Because the fear after you saying that, and it would have been in me, is that now it's constant fear. It's not just fear about what you're going to say in that moment. The fact that you're going to reveal the truth, that you are scared. I'm now scared again that in that instance my daughter is going to judge me. Boy, this is not what it is. Come on, Dad, pull yourself together here. So it's constant. Vulnerability means to the truth. Why is vulnerability so liberating? Because you're holding on to the truth.
Yes.
And I think
there's a weight there, isn't there?
Well, and I think the power of this work is that I've come to. Again, I know the power of this work is the fact for you to say that and not be judged and not be really told anything. I probably could just meet it with silence and it would be okay. Now, if I want to take that to another level, I need to find that place probably in myself, which exists for most, and then probably just say, me too. I remember going through exactly the same thing. Yeah.
So talk us through that then, the golf stuff. What happened? How did that evolve from there?
I would say it didn't evolve. I would say it stayed as it was, where I would be absolutely terrible for a long period of time, find solutions to deal with the fact that it was terrible, which for me was drinking, gambling. Gambling came in early. I was gambling heavy, young, probably gambling more before I was drinking, to be honest. Find solutions to deal with that side of things, but no solutions for the fear that actually I was scared.
Not just solving the real.
No, just find solutions. That was a shit day, no problem. What do you do with that? Just go and have a drink, go and gamble, distract from it, no problem. And then every now and again, I would emerge, win, do really well.
He's back.
Everyone would go, yeah, we knew that. I remember playing with a. He was an exceptional player. Had his own struggles. Won the. I think he still holds one of the records of winning the Challenge Tour rankings, which was the sort of out the Championship promotion into the Premier League, and then could have lost in a playoff to Bernard Langer in one event. An incredible golfer, and everyone knew it. Had his own difficulties, but he came to me. We played. He asked me to re-grip his golf clubs one day, and he was a bit of an idol, I think, at that point, because you knew who he was, what was happening. And he said, the guy I worked for had said, no, don't worry about charging him. He said, no, don't do that. He said, I'll play Louis for that. So we played 6 holes, which was at the course I played at. We played 6 holes on the golf course. He said, I'll play him for it. And I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, cool. And played reasonably well, beat him 6 holes. And I never forget, as we walked off the green to finish, he went, you've got it. And he just looked at me, he went, you've got it. And it was just that word, and I would come away confused, going, "What do you mean I've got it?" Because the truth was, I know what you're saying. I can't find that.
Confusion,
like a minuscule little bit. It's like going in the ocean, going, I need to find a certain type of...
Try harder.
Yeah, a certain type of shell in the ocean. I'm going to go down there. Can you find it? That's what it felt like. But what he had observed in that is what I've worked really hard to accept now, the gift. And that gift was the intensity and the sensitivity. That's been my way to navigate into that, to accept that part. So it didn't really evolve from a golf stand. I chose to do the PGA qualification. I chose to. That equated to a plan B, really.
Subconsciously given up there, unconsciously given up.
It's a backup plan.
Yeah.
It's a backup plan. Many golfers will know the Rui. You heard the conversations we had upstairs. It's the same thing. And then they're all telling stories 15, 20, 25, 35 years later. Reasonable lifestyles, of course, earning good money, no problem. But it's a mess. It's in any conversations I've had with people since. Yeah. And I know there's been some silent observers, and some people have had the courage to reach out to bits that I've shared where they can relate to it. So, it didn't evolve really, and to the point where I knew I had to do something different. I mean, discipline. Yeah, it wasn't good. The drinking had an effect.
What was that then? Talk to us about the drinking. What did that look like, and the gambling? Where? Just
would. I think you'd be. If I use the words that you'd be described as just a normal no-off switch.
Right.
Destructive. No, I remember one guy, 95% of the time, was one of the greatest people I've ever met. This little 5% he's got is just so destructive. I lost him. I got asked to leave a golf club for that. 5% of the time, turn up late. So the drinking was just... The drink. I remember going to see someone early in that, because everyone was trying to help parents, although everyone was doing their own drinking, yet they were trying to help me.
Stop that.
Yeah. What you need to do is just have one glass of water in between the drinks. But I remember actually going to see what would be perceived. I remember it was in the town I live in. Must have been, I don't know, late 20s, mid 20s maybe earlier than that. And went to see what would be someone to see if I was an alcoholic. That was really what I knew I was going for. So someone could say, yes, you are, no, you're not. Does he need to go into some form of... I remember going up these stairs to this woman sat there, and she said, no, she said, you're not alcohol dependent, or whatever other bits she was saying. And I came out, thank God for that.
Just go and have a beer.
It's okay now. I'm not one of them, which is an unbelievable thing.
Yeah.
Now, because it's like, well, one of what? Because there's not a limit. And I only sat talking to someone this morning, and we sat in the hotel spa bit, and they said something about, we were talking about the gym, and they said it's a healthy thing. They're a little bit overweight, and they said, it's really been really hard for us to do that, and it's a healthy decision. And they said, thing is, if only we could do that with the alcohol. And I said, yeah. He said, I had my difficulties. I gave up 6 years ago. And the first thing they came back was, but we don't have a problem. We don't have any problem here. I didn't say if you did or didn't have a problem. So your immediate response is going, I can't be one of them. But yet, I'm obsessive over here. So it's not alcohol, you're doing it with your eating, or you're doing it with your thinking, or you're doing it with something else. And this has been I think a liberating process for me, working with many, many people that would be classed as addicts or obsessive individuals, that we'll normalise all of that. Let's park all of these labels for a second. What's going on? You intense? Yes. Did you want to win? Yeah, I wanted to win everything. Do you feel things deeply? You want to cry? Yes. Cool. Well, if that's mismanaged, there's a high chance that this world out here has got every single solution for that: drink, drugs, women, alcohol, sex, whatever else you want. Yeah. So, and that was I was in that. I was in that.
So you'd have been better off having a shit round, smashing your clubs up, losing it, getting into all them feelings, and then being able to move through that onto the
100%.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
It's a great point.
But that is, I was the same. I was a fucking nightmare as a 13-year-old kid. You know,
Even that language though, there, because this is the power of it. When you label yourself as that, I was a nightmare.
I was perceived as a nightmare, but the reality is that, again, I guess a bit like verbalizing that I'm scared. It's acting out that frustration, anger, whatever that is. Just, I mean, like Djokovic, he's a classic example, and they terrorize him because he's, smashes rackets up and he loses or he perceives to lose his mind, but all he's doing is he's just letting that frustration out.
Yes,
it's just liberating.
Yes. Losing, yeah, I mean, and he's a brilliant example, because if you say lose your mind, you say, yeah, I do lose my mind.
Absolutely, yeah.
My mind's gone off all sorts of places. If we're going to say it's a thing that can move, yeah, it goes off. It's gone off here. Yeah. You've lost. You're useless. Terrible. I'll just wait. That'll come back, and it does.
Yeah,
it's just normalised. Of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point, as a 13-year-old, for you, same for me. You talk about smashing golf clubs. I've been through the same with my stepson's 18. He's on his journey with golf. Same thing happened. I was the parent that would have been pointing this stuff onto him with my unresolved stuff. Yeah. He snapped a putter once. I remember having the conversation with Drew. We talk every. It was obviously the relationship we'd built, which obviously he found his sweat and courage and all the other bits. But I remember having the conversation because he was the first person really that was able to probably hold me accountable to certain things and would challenge me on certain things, particularly as I was on this journey. And my stepson snapped a putter, and he had this, as he missed the putt, he would just like squeeze his foot against the shaft, in anger to a degree, and he snapped it, and he came home.
How did you react with that?
Well, I would have been here. Who do you think you are? What are you doing? People work hard for disrespectful, all this nonsense talk. My own fear being projected. Because the truth is, it's all about me. You're going to make me look stupid. I've played the game, like it's horrific. It's the truth. And then remember the conversation and sharing it with him at that point, and he said to me, first question I've got to ask is, who paid for the putter? I said, he did. Earned his own money and paid for it. What are you worried about then? So the minute that went straight back to me, and I was like, okay, so it's nothing to do with the money then. Because I'd go down that, you're ungrateful, it's this, that, and the other. Well, it's his money. But what was it? It was the shame in me. And the fear in me, I project it onto him so very quickly to try and get back to vulnerability, because I had to go and apologise. I'm really sorry. That's all my stuff. It's nothing to do with you. If you want to carry on snapping putters, it's okay.
If it helps you,
do whatever you need to do. In that instance, it's probably not going to help you because you're going to need your putter on the next hole. But it's cool. If you want to do that, I'm still here. Yeah. See you on the 18th green. Yeah, we'll have a cuddle and we'll go on. Now, in that whole thing, and it's been again a liberating thing to watch it. I don't want to snap a putter anyway. I just want to learn how to manage my emotion. Which, if you look at Djokovic, most of the time he's managing, but occasionally might be a snap club or a snap racket. Yeah, the world's going to judge you for that.
But if it works for you, and if that's what you need to do to get that edge, you do it.
Yeah, and people are going to look to shame you. I mean, I was your step parent. I'm doing it, so the world's going to look to do that. Yeah, there's a golfer now they do it with. Tyrrell Hatton guy plays on the main European tour. He's vocal, swearing and smashing things, and he's done it, as far as I've been informed, he's done that entire life. He's an exceptional player. I think he's top 10 in the world and earned millions of pounds.
Interesting.
So you'd say there's no fear of what anyone else thinks of him. The fear for me is like, well, you can't do that.
Yeah. And what about golf now then? Because we've had this conversation, haven't we? Where I know there was probably 3 or 4 months ago in the summer, and I was like, well, what are you?
Yeah. Are you taking this back up again?
Do you fancy it? Where are you at with that?
No, I don't fancy it. I recently took my stepson to Hartlepool for a big amateur event, and I'd done a bit of caddying for him, and we again, thankfully, we created more of a vulnerable environment where he was able to actually say, well, we both were, and say, this isn't working. It is too much in this situation.
Were you on him too much, or?
I'm just accepting who I am. I am going to be intense and I'm going to be sensitive, so I'm not going to dull that back. And it's not fair for me to put that on you if that has an effect, which I totally get. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan talks about in that documentary. He's like, I could sense. I didn't need to know where my dad was. I could sense he was in the room.
You could feel him in the room. Yeah.
I could feel him, his presence in the room. So I get that. But we had an honest conversation about that to say, look, this isn't the one. This is not working. But I think all of that allowed me to begin to understand that I formed a relationship with golf. You were right earlier, in what you said. It wasn't golf. Golf became the vehicle to attempt to show me who I was.
Yes.
And obviously I wasn't having any of that. So I had to work out what this relationship with golf was. And I think the only way I can describe it is that it's like you grieve this relationship. I went through the whole forms of blaming the sport itself, the things in it, the clubs. I didn't want to watch it on the TV. So it was almost like I'm staring at a traumatic event all the time, which a lot of it was. But all it was to show me more about myself. And that's been the journey with golf now. So just to continue to face bits of it. Am I going to find any joy in it? Occasionally I do. Yeah. But I'm still always trying to manage this competitor that I can't go out there and be shit.
With what you have now, regardless of the joy, do you think with the tools you have now, you could be successful? You could have success?
What, playing?
Yeah. Because it's not like football where you get to a I don't.
Yeah. Do I think you could be successful? I think you could do okay.
Yes.
Yes. I think you could do okay. Well, the last event I played, I hadn't played for. It's the last event I played as a professional to date. I hadn't played for probably 2 years. It all ended pretty sour for me. I didn't miss it. I missed a tee time in Portugal in a pro-am, paralytic drunk. It wasn't pleasant, full of shame. I again, all my stuff. So it didn't end well. So I ran off in the other direction. And when I came back and entered an event at a golf course, I think it was a 2 days, 18 holes and 18 holes. I shot 68, I think, first day. Out of nowhere, just at an absolute canter. And I'm lying 4 thinking, shit, I think leading score 66 or something like that. I've got a chance here. A couple of messages out the woodwork, like, great to see you back. And it's all of this stuff. And then the second day, I started well, actually. I had a few birdies in the first few holes, and I think I was in the final group. Yeah, which is, if you're obviously playing with the winner, or I was playing with the winner at that point. So that was a very interesting dynamic, but I was in tears coming down the last hole. Almost that it was a letting. It was a letting go for me.
Oh, really?
It was a letting go of all of it, really. But you go back to the boy. It was like I'd met myself. Put my arm around this, and just went, it's all right. You can relax now. There's nothing to prove here. So it was, as I walked, streaming tears down the last. No one probably knew, but that for me was the end of that painful end, burning away. And Jordan Peterson talks about things burning away, old parts of yourself dying. It was that had to go. Could I resurrect that part of myself to go out? Possibly, but I don't have the real truth is I don't have the drive and the energy, and I know for the remainder of my life that the energy I know which direction that has to be transmitted. So I can't, if I'm going to transmit some over there, it's wasted in this, it's going to affect this direction, which I know to be the right path.
So that's the perfect segue. Perfect segue. I mean, I didn't know all of that. I didn't know the depth of that, because you've always been a little, not guarded about it, but you've never sort of, I haven't had that depth of conversation. So talk to us about what you do now, and explain and try and talk to us about the message of the work that you're doing and that I've been on the receiving end of. Try and explain that. There's probably 3 or 4 questions in there.
I think it's probably only fair for me to go back to where that started. I mentioned earlier with Sweat and Courage being founded by a guy, Drew Broughton, who was a professional footballer who I'd seen online, and on my journey 3-4 years into me having forced to discover what the meaning, what have I been put here to do. Drew emerged with his message. I connected, and he was delivering coaching, really performance coaching to athletes.
Yes.
So we connected at that point through his education. And I eventually plucked up the courage to go, look, I need to invest in myself here. I need to do some education. And this is the education to do, which was emotional intelligence. That was what it was entitled, but it was way more than that. It was a group of people who I could connect with that could show me more about myself at that point. And I could begin to accept, it was the first place where I could begin to accept this level of intensity that lived in me. Really. I could start to accept it myself, but these other people are like welcoming it in the room here. Hang on a minute, it's no problem. You bring that in here. Bring the intensity in, bring the sensitivity in, bring it all in here. So that's where it started. Then I got asked, at that point, I was doing my own coaching, which, to be honest, if you really asked me what it was, I couldn't tell you. People were connecting with what I was saying and asking for help. Can you help and support me? Which really they were saying, can you give me time to listen to me?
Yes.
Connect to my message and give me maybe some solutions if you can come back with them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, look, I'm not sure if these solutions can help you. They help me. This is what's helping me. And they're like, great. Thank you very much. It's starting to change my life. And you're like... Oh.
Yeah, but you're I mean, from my side, I think where you've probably had some of your success is your ability to listen. Never met anybody like your intensity to listen, which is ironic, isn't it? Because you perceive that as the opposite, but your ability to listen and to feel the words and understand what is being said really is beyond what I've seen in anyone else. So I imagine that is probably where the success has come.
Yes. Yeah, that's where it started. And as you said earlier, how did my golf career evolve? It didn't. It was like that. What's happened is that when I first started that as myself, and then came on board to support with the education with Sweat and Courage as a brand, and then become the lead coach under that as a brand, like there has been a constant evolution in me bringing more of myself.
Yes.
More of that, and that's one of the areas. So what would what do you do now? Well, that probably is, I would say, one of the gifts that I've been given, an ability to listen beyond the words.
I would agree entirely.
So, and again, as we were having a conversation last night, it takes a lot to accept that, because if I turn around and go, oh, what do you do? Do you just listen? And yeah, I listen intently. And there's a high chance I'm going to unravel what you're saying to hopefully show you something that you can't see. So that the coaching is some seriously deep work that you connected with. But we had the conversation earlier. Can you patiently get there? Do you have to be thrown in deep to get there? I think. I don't think it can be forced. I think it comes to you when the time is right for you. What's the saying? Like when the student is ready, the teacher appears, or something like that, isn't it? And even as I say that message now, when the student is ready, the message appears. The message is always there.
It's whether the student's ready
to see it, to open, and I think most of it, you said earlier, like the answers within. I said, yes, I believe so. I believe every single individual has every single answer within them. There are going to be things that can guide you along the way in books and podcasts and whatever else, other coaches and everything else. And people so often say, yeah, but you're the coach. But I think if I'm doing my job correctly as a coach,
yes, I'm
showing you, I'm giving you everything you need to know for you to then walk. Cool. We'll just carry on walking together. Mm. So there's nothing in extraordinary, but I do. You're right. I accept the gift that I have is an intense ability to listen, an intense ability to feel deeply, and then an ability and a gift to be able to link all of that together, translate that back to you, for that to hopefully make sense to you.
And what are some of the things that people like come to you with that are common things that are just not dealt with, and the things that you would work through with people? Just try and articulate that. I mean, fear is a big one, isn't it? Fear, which we've sort of touched on. But think about some
I'd
of the...
say that's everything. Yeah. I think everyone comes, but they don't realise they come with that. So it would be a mixture. I think really. I think people you'd be a mixture where people are.
Try and give us an example of maybe a client. You don't have to use their name, but.
Well, I'm thinking of several really, but most of them would say it's the first place I've ever felt safe to bring all of my stuff, and not only that, you're the first person that's ever actually acknowledged that in yourself. But I would say most are coming with some form of desire to improve. They're coming with a desire to improve their life. Now, we would talk about that as starting with winning. So they have a desire to win. Now, it's easy to understand that in performance. If a football player comes to you with a desire to win, they want to win games, win matches, win performances. But I think the winning with this work is an ability to, and I think most people are there, a desire to win in every single moment. And I think everyone's coming with that. As I was sharing earlier, how that played out for me is to win every moment, you have to be able to be yourself in them moments.
Oh, that's terrifying, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because you've got to start to become conscious, and to become conscious is a terrifying move. If you've lived unconscious, words are coming out, you don't know what you're saying. I was unconscious delivering that to my stepson. I'm just piling that straight in. If someone would have stopped me and said, "Do you really know what you're doing and saying?" Well, I'd probably said yes, but it's not true. It's an unconscious response that's just automatically coming out. So for me to transfer that, it's going to be a painful process. Which probably answers the question. Most people come with a desire for pain.
Do they?
They don't know it as that.
Yeah. Are they ready for the pain?
You run triathlons.
Yeah. We talked about this earlier, didn't we?
You don't run triathlons if you don't have a desire for pain.
Oh no, you're absolutely seeking that suffering, 100%. It's like, yeah, if you don't get there, you're not running, you're not going hard enough. You're not going hard enough.
So, my feeling is that not my feeling, my knowing, I think, as far as I'm concerned, is that all meaning in life is to be found in the pain. No one wants to sit in the pain. No one wants to confront the pain. No one wants to look at it. No one wants to talk about it. Yet everything we're looking for lives in that place. I think Peterson says what you want to find will be found where you least want to look. Like, I don't want to look in them places. So I think most people come with that without them knowing it. They want a solution to their pain, really. And the solution to the pain is I'm going to take you into it. Yeah, I'm going to take you into it. But I'm going to be in there with you.
Yeah.
And we're going to normalise all of it and realise that everything you need lives in there. And from that, we'll regularly go back. And then things can flourish from that. So, yeah, But I think anyone could come. Most people connect. If the golfer comes, they want to win, they want to earn more money. My stepson there, he wants to earn money. He wants to earn a lot of money playing golf. It's not at the forefront, really, as to if he's really honest. But the opportunity to be able to earn money doing something you genuinely enjoy and keep the joy in it.
Oh, that's hard, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, the money has to be to the side then.
And how? So, I'm trying to articulate this, but what I've sort of learned through this whole process is that
I'd be interested to what in the time we spent. What was it for you? Because we had the conversation earlier. You'd been education, and then you said, "Look, I think is there a way we can do something?" Or I then put it on you a little bit more at that point to say, "Look, it can do. It's this." We toed and froed a little bit, and then we spent some pretty intensive time for 3 months at least. What was that in you?
It's going back to the Lewis that won. Your story about the Lewis that won a tournament was exactly the same as, seeking that next level. And that consistency, and I think. I feel as though most people would probably resonate with that. They know they have more, and it's about unlocking or trying to remember, or everything that you already know, and to figure out what that is. And I think what I've realised, or what I'm realising and remembering, is the fact that it's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is.
Not what you've been told it is.
It's not trying hard and following what everyone tells you, and it's not. It's pretty much the opposite. It's pretty much the opposite of everything that you thought you knew. And the the letting go. Loosening control, because obviously control is driven by fear. Now that fear for me will never leave. We spoke about it earlier, but if you're sort of, it's only my words and how I feel about it, but if you are courageous and you are vulnerable and you're authentic and you can sort of possibly soften that fear, then you can move forward, and then relinquishing that and surrendering and just being looser with everything is just liberating. It's like, stop trying so hard, and actually you'll have more success, whatever that is.
Yeah. Because the trying hard is I think people get that. I just need to try harder.
Well, it's Rory McIlroy, isn't it? Rory McIlroy. I mean, he's been changing
everything.
Yeah,
we got it's McIlroy there. It's Rashford now, as you're seeing in football. The trying harder people get from more and more work, more and more advice. Just get another person in; they'll be able to tell you. Change your coach, change your diet, change it. Externally, people get that.
Yeah.
But no one gets that working harder intern. And people say, work hard on yourself.
How do you do
Go
that?
and work hard on yourself.
What is that?
Yeah. What does that actually mean? Because then if we're really going to be honest, well, now we'll talk about what vulnerability truly is. So you are going to expose parts to me, potentially, that you've never exposed in your life. We were talking yesterday, 46-year-old, whatever. Have you ever shared that with anyone? No, I haven't. So for 46 years... you've kept that within you. How does it feel, the fact that you've just shared it with me after that? I'd say it's similar to what you're saying, liberating.
Yeah.
So you feel liberated, you feel free, you feel lighter. Okay, so that is the degree of this of this work, but I just don't think it can be forced. I don't think any of that. No, I know you've said many times. I think this message can be travelled better to a wider audience, without doubt. But that comes back to what we've said before. Same for me, relationship with social media, and I've almost shot myself in the foot in a positive way. Actually, I've shot the inauthentic part of myself that I'm so aware when it's inauthentic.
Yeah.
That I have this overwhelming sense of healthy shame, probably healthy shame of no, that's not it. So unless this situation we're in now, okay, I can pause, reflect on what I'm going to say. We talk, the camera's rolling. It's real. So, and also I have the ability to say, if I feel I say something that's inauthentic, I can backtrack pretty sharpish and go, no, that, what are you talking about, Louis? That's not it. What are you talking about, Louis? Who was that? That was an old...
Tell us and give us some examples about authenticity, because we were talking about it on the way up here, and the power of that authentic message. Try and give us.
I think if you we hear a bit of a desire a lot for people to say that authenticity is a word, isn't it? I'm just out there being authentic. I'm just going to be authentic. I think what we were talking about. And it was the same as anything I said earlier. It's beyond the words. What is this coaching? I'm looking beyond the words. That's why I'm intensely listening. I feel is because I'm looking to go beyond that and really feel the energy. What's actually going on here? I wouldn't certainly never have looked at it, but authenticity as an energy frequency leaving the body.
Yeah.
There's an incredible bit we share on the bit with the guy on the stage. I can't remember his name. Gary. Many people have seen him on social media. But if you just type Gary authenticity, it'll come up. But he's on the stage talking about that. Of do you realise that the authenticity as an energy to leave the body? Now, we'll use authenticity as the word, but I'm pretty sure people can sense that now in their own lives. You can sense an energy of authenticity. Well, that has the power to change another. I think there was an element of authenticity, and you look at the top leaders in the world. Is there an element of inauthenticity? Possibly. Maybe they don't. There's no revealing of that, and if there is, well, I need to be vulnerable.
It's like you can sense, you can maybe sense the inauthenticity, but you possibly don't know what it is.
It doesn't really. It doesn't, and also probably if you've delivered a message that's real for a long period of time, if there's an element of energy that comes across that's not quite it, that's get rid of that. Oh, that bit, that's it. So to see it as actually an energy, people talk about energy all the time, and when you had your event not so long ago, I try and. If I'm going to talk about fear, because again it resonated with me, is to look at that as an energy. And then this is the other bit which we've obviously had many conversations. One of the weeks that we'll work on trust and belief, talk about what that is, trust, belief, and use the word faith, which again people will go, well, what is that? Is that religion? Is it this? It's like no. I want you to see faith as an energy, because faith is the counteracting energy to fear. So it's not that we're going to avoid fear. Get rid of it. We're going to draw fear to the forefront, and it's an energy, and you're not going to like it, and and it's not going to go anywhere. It's always going to be there, and especially if you want to grow, it's good. That's going to intensify.
It's the opposite of what it's the opposite of what people would tell you, 100%. Isn't it?
Well, and this is the thing. I think a lot of therapy. We've had this kind of a lot of, and it's not to nail anyone at all, any individuals, but I'm talking about real life experience where people have had it. That there's an illusion that's created that I need to get rid of this.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm going to intensify that to to what it can be, which is the truth. That's what's actually going on. But we're going to work to bring along the counteracting energy, and try and get.
Talk to us about faith then. Sorry, I'm getting excited now. So
No. But to see that as an energy, and for me, that's an unexplainable. Everyone's looking for measurable. So I think everybody's looking for a measurable thing. How do I measure this? I would say for me, the starting point, if you use the word faith, the starting point for that is to go, what's unmeasurable in me? What is this is unmeasurable, really? I mean, that's the one bit I question on that video. He talks about authenticity being 4,000 times more powerful than love.
How do you measure that?
Well, have you got a radar that measures that? But unless we've got a frequency meter that's actually measuring energy frequency, which is a fair one, maybe. But I think that's the place to start. Because if we're going to use the word faith, I think, which scares people.
Yeah.
Because we said about people talking about being in cults and things, and what are we doing here? We've been taken out. No, we're just bringing along another energy. Call it what you want. But for me, and this was the place where I started, I think, to bring these energies along: faith, love, truth, trust. Like, you could probably keep the words going, but I'm looking for an energy. And I remember probably in one of my lowest moments, but most painful moments, I was sat in a how old was I now? I'm 39. It's probably in there 6 years ago, mid-30s. And I remember sitting in the graveyard, and that became a bit of a place for me to just really sit in silence, and I'd avoided silence my whole entire life. And I remember with a pen and paper, what is love? Truly. Have you got any idea? Can you answer that? And I couldn't answer it. I could give you what the world says. So from that, ironically, you can't measure that. No. It's not a thing. If people say, I really love, you love your kids. Of course you do. There's an underwaving current in there.
Yeah.
Anyone explain that? Measure it? Can you measure that? No. I certainly can't. Can you explain it? A lot of people just say it's unexplainable. Actually, they use that language, don't they?
Which is right.
An unexplainable love for my children. Well, that's an interesting thing. Is that a powerful energy? Well, yeah, I'd do anything to protect them. Oh, that's pretty powerful energy then. So that's where it starts for me. Not looking down. Also, now, lots of people may end up in different places and go, I really connect with that message, and I really connect with that. But I think the minute you bring that gratitude, you probably put that gratitude's an energy.
Yeah.
Gratitude's an incredible counteracting energy to fear. Comes over here as well.
So how do you be in faith? It's something.
So the question then I would hear is, how do you obtain the energy of faith?
Correct.
How do you bring that alongside? You probably want to be doing it the other side, because that's the hidden bit. I would say it's easier, this bit. A lot of people go over to that being the positivity. It's easier to do that because you can bypass. How do you get there? For me, I have to face everything the other side. I have to face everything the other side.
And what is that? What does that look like for you?
I just have to face the truth. It's probably why I found it most transformational sitting in a graveyard. I mean, people would say I was crazy, but I'd sit there for 3-4 hours, and I regularly go back now, not quite as much, but I would 2 years, 4 or 5 times a week, just sat on my own, facing everything I possibly could. The reality, the reality of death. This ride ends. Okay, well, that's a pretty terrifying prospect. Or it was for me at that point. So the minute the deeper I went into that, the more allowing I went into to all of that being a real. Is it true? It's true. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I probably want to face that and stare that down every day. But I need to feel that deep, because I can feel it on the surface. You'll see it if you go to a funeral. you know, people, you go to a funeral and you'll sense the energy
if you can feel it.
in such a tragic situation, painful situation, meaning to be found in the pain. In such a painful situation, there's a liberating energy in the room through the pain, where everyone's like, if you told me to quit my job today, I'd do it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? And then people move through that quickly, though, don't they? I forget.
Within a matter of days.
Few drinks in the bar and they're...
Within a matter of days.
Yeah.
But I'm also aware of that level of conversation. Again, it comes to me now, there's an element where people are going, whoa, well, take it easy. It's a bit deep, that stuff. It is. But the saying, we spoke about it briefly last night, it is said that a tree's branches can only reach heaven if it realises its roots reach down to hell. So it can only go whatever you perceive that to be. It's almost irrelevant, but it can only go as far that way as it's willing to go that way. So if we want to go to the next level, you said earlier, I think people do. I want to go to the next level in my business, in my life, in my relationship. If you want to go that way, you can only go, well, you can start going that way. But if your foundations aren't rooted as deep, there's a high chance you just fall over. Walk out and push the tree over in the garden and just fall straight over. But what we're looking to, what I've looked to do in myself, how do I get into the energy of faith? For me, that lives down here. I'm going in that as best I can every day. What does that mean? Just facing everything. Most recently, it's been difficult. My daughter's 16 years old, and I've tried to live this message as best I can. Well, she's living it. Push back against me. I don't like this. What's being said? That's too much. Don't like that. That. Oh, be careful what you wish for. You want to teach a message that feels real, and then you get hit straight. It's like a left hook. You get hit. It's almost like training the boxer to be strong, and now it's just like, shit, they're stronger than me now. Yeah. Come on up. But that's the truth.
I mean, it's some we spoke about it in the last sort of few days. For me, I think my ego has struggled to have the truth at times, and what's been sort of fascinating, liberating for me is like to be able to sort of push my ego to one side, have the truth be revealed to me in some instances, and then to kind of, again, like not wallow in it, but to sort of soak it all up, and to see it for what it is, to see it as the truth, and that's been an absolute game changer to kind of put that to one side.
Why do you think the ego? Because a lot of people have a different perception, and we won't go in too much into it. But I think just as you're talking, it's helpful. Why do you think the ego is an issue? Why won't it let you get to the truth for you? What do you think the ego is looking to do? Why won't it let that happen?
I mean, mate,
because the ego in me, I can't avoid as a part of myself. It does its job.
Yes,
it's looking to protect me.
Yes, it does.
Because it does not want to reveal a level of pain that potentially this could, which is a level of truth. This could reveal.
Yes, but in the revealing and it's funny because if I think back to all of the when I guess unmeasurable, but when I've made steps in my own sort of life, sport, football, business, it's always been off the back of that truth and that pain, which you kind of sort of I've pushed away, and it's only after sometimes 6 months of having that pain and that suffering, it's like then I'll reflect on it and think, okay, that was good. That was the aftermath of that pain and destruction was good. Whereas I think more recently I've got to that really quickly. It's like, okay, that truth has been revealed. God, that hurts, and it's not it's not a like it's got me like here
Mm-hmm.
and like really got in, and I've sat with it and I've thought there's something here, and I need to, go away to whoever that voice is. You need to listen here, and then to move through that quickly. And I think that's been fascinating for me in the journey that you and I have been on, and where I'm at anyway.
And from a results, if you look at it from a results stand, which should, as a footballer, it would have been a result on the pitch. In the work that you're doing now, it would have been a result with someone else getting an impact on that, or someone else coming into your life at that point that you didn't know was there, or come out of the woodwork. That only comes as a result of that work. Well, if you want to go to the next level.
Well, I mean, I'll give you a brilliant example. I mean, I actually put this. I did a video a little while ago. We were talking earlier about how much I learn from my clients. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm forever grateful for that journey and being able to sit with people and see them and evolve, and and all the stuff we were talking about. Just tens of thousands of pounds worth of knowledge coming back to me. It's like, this is unbelievable. But one of my clients, I remember, he wasn't on board with me at the time, and I had a chat with him, and he said, I said, you picked up, and he said, yeah. He said, I had a brutal conversation with a client. Brutal. He said, they just tore me to shreds. And I was like, oh. And he said, I listened. He said, I took it. I went away. I spent 3 months. I got it all right. I took it, everything they said, which was the absolute truth, and I implemented it. And I was like, and what's happened? He said, we're fine. And his growth, and we we know this, 708% in a year. Because he took it, and he's put his ego, whatever that is, to one side, and he said, I'm gonna listen. There's a message here. And I'm going to get stuck in, and I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to make this right.
So in that instance, my question you asked earlier about how would you get faith, I would say my question to the individual would be, how did you know that was the right thing to do? And pretty often the answer is, I didn't.
There's a bit of feeling.
I just knew. I just knew. Okay. Well, that's a pretty powerful energy, because you don't need to explain that to me, because I think that's what you're explaining. There's an unbelievable trust, and therefore a faith that if I choose to accept this part that's telling me this internally, that something is going to happen the other side of that. I don't know what. Could be that the business folds. Yeah. But I'm going that way. Mm. So because the same could be had the other way, where someone comes in and you go, okay, I'm going to listen. Yeah, I've listened to everything you say. Nothing at all makes any sense. I'll be doing directly the opposite. Mm. And I can get growth that way as well. So it's again, I'm always going to challenge that backwards to go, that was you that got there. Yes, these things have been an unbelievable director into they've given you the opportunity to face them parts. What do you really believe in yourself? Do you believe that?
Well,
what a great question.
In this particular instance, he clearly felt that feedback
exactly
was exactly the message you needed at that time. So,
and then to act from that place,
yes,
brilliant. It's that to me is faith.
But you're right in the sense that just because that feedback, if that doesn't feel right, then it needs to be batted off. But how many people do that?
For sure. And how many people trust their feelings?
Yeah.
Again, and that I would say that's a lot of this work is constantly that it's a slow. Firstly, it's how many people feel. I certainly would block all feeling, so I'm numb. I don't feel anything. So we're going to start to journey together into the feelings, and then it's going to take a long period of time till you begin to trust that. So you're going to feel something and act. Oh, no, that wasn't it.
Well, it's thinking versus feeling, isn't it? Which is something that is more of something that I'm conscious of these days. Yeah. Thinking is in your brain, and feeling is here, isn't it? And it's just being clear on actually what it is,
Yeah.
what is speaking to you.
Absolutely. You think? I know we were talking about the two. Or he was sharing on his 2-year-old. We all come in feeling, very little thinking going on, and I think he's just turned 2 or whatever. He wasn't he explaining about. We all come in feeling, every one of us, and at some point that then we get told, okay, I shouldn't be doing that. Don't do that anymore. Why not? Well, I haven't got an answer most of the time for a 2-year-old because you're embarrassing me. Oh, it's about you. So then all of a sudden, then that feeling gets shut
Suppressed.
down, and now it's here.
Yeah.
Oh, anytime that happens, I won't do that.
Yeah.
Well, you spend 4 or 5 years
Don't
of
think
that.
you should do that.
Yeah, you 4, 5, 15, 20 years of doing that. It's a really tough, painful journey to get back into your feelings. And again, I said earlier, you stopped drinking. Drinking was my thing to stop feeling because I was feeling things I didn't want to feel. It was painful. So I would drink or gamble or do anything to stop me feeling them things, really. That was the perception, although it was the opposite. But the real truth is it's nothing to do with any of that. The meaning is to be found. I think that's the theme I can continually take in all of these conversations. The meaning is to be found in the pain. So if you want to have meaning in your life, or find meaning in your life, and be able to answer the question, hang on a minute, well, why am I here? Why am I, what is this? Why am I here? I've got to go into the pain, because it's going to take me back to that, as close as I can get back to that. You said, what's young Louis? Get that back into your life, because that gift was in there, all of it.
So seeking pain is the opposite of what we're told. But you think about building bigger muscles. You have to be in pain to do that.
Get it physically. People understand that. Is it painful to just keep with that dumbbell? Keep doing that.
Yeah,
it's physically painful. You get that. Yeah, it really hurts.
Yeah,
but that's good though.
Yeah,
it's good that it'll be growing.
Yeah.
Well, this is what we're doing here with emotional and spiritual muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah, which you can't see, you can't feel. Again, another probably great description. You can't feel tangibly with your hands. I mean, another probably definition, if you like, to start with faith. Can't feel it, but we know it's there.
Perfect place to wrap up, I think.
Fantastic. What an incredible! How there's a present time there.
Hour and 15. Yep. Thanks,
Magnificent.
mate.
Thanks.
Enjoyed it.
No, appreciate it.
And we'll dissect all that on the way home.
Yeah. Absolutely.